I had letters from the Redskins and the Packers.
No shit.
When I came back as a soccer coach, the football team needed a punter. I led the nation, Division 1, 2, and 3 in average punting, and I took the letter, and 60-year-old Brad looks back and thinks, why did you do this? And I wrote, never hear from the Redskins again. I had an injury my senior year where I was told for months, you're never playing again.
And then you're like, no.
I said, forget it. I'm going 100% from this point on. I don't care. Let's put the chips on the table and see where it lands. At the end of my first pro season, this sinking depression, because I thought I'm on borrowed time. I got one season to chase my dream. And then at the end, I have no guarantees. We average 15 to 20 interviews a day, from everything from The Tonight Show to Good Morning America, fake dopamine hit, fake dopamine hit, fake dopamine hit. And then you go from the phone ringing to the phone not ringing.
How you doing now?
There's no screaming fans, there's no stadiums, you're back to coaching soccer camps. I defined who I was by being an athlete. When that was gone, whether it was an end of a season or something, I'm lost. Hey.
Hauter.
I know.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It probably has literally been 10 years.
I think it was.
I don't know that we ever saw you at an alumni.
No, I've not been to alumni, so it's been during your guys' time here as players. And that was the year probably the most intense I have seen our basketball team. So seeing you in this capacity is very different, because I remember you being cutthroat and you guys, nobody's going to come in here and get a point on us.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So welcome to No Former Athlete Podcast.
Thank you.
Are you an athlete?
No.
How does this? No.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Well, I think as an athlete, you have to do athletic things. And there's times I can't walk up the stairs. I mean, it's just, it's crazy how it slowly goes. And then all of a sudden you hit a tipping point and it's like, it's gone.
Really? How long ago do you feel like the it's gone happened for you?
Right around the time that we last saw each other.
Really?
So 9-10 years ago, I felt like I could probably still step in with the guys.
Okay.
For a day, not for a week, I'd need recovery time, but I felt like I could step in and still compete at that level. And then as I got a couple more years of coaching in me, I just recognized, no, I can't even do the demonstrations anymore.
When was your last season coaching here?
2022.
So that was recent.
That's blink
Super
of an
recent.
eye, yeah.
Wow. My brain thought that you had moved over to Indy 11 a lot longer than that.
Well, when you look at Indy 11, I started with them as a broadcaster in 2014. So at the time you were here, that's probably why
you were starting. Yeah, you were starting
Right.
to have the connection over there.
Right.
I know you as the head men's soccer coach at the college that I played basketball at. You also were always the site coordinator?
I was the
What'd they call you?
NCAA site rep.
There he is.
And I
You were
volunteered
our
for
guy.
that because I got to be around you guys, and I was hoping some of that championship feel would rub off on me.
Yeah, we were sending it. We were
Yeah,
trying to
I
send
know.
it.
I just couldn't grab enough of it.
That's all right. Hey, that's all right. We tried. We all tried. Give us a little bit of sports background. You were a collegiate soccer coach for years. You're still involved in soccer. We'll kind of get to that.
Right.
But where did it start for you?
Born in Chicago, grew up there for a little bit, down to Tennessee, played, whatever sports my parents would sign me up for.
Yeah.
And then moved to Indianapolis and started to gravitate a little bit more towards soccer. Started playing soccer around the 7th grade. Wound up continuing at DePaul. And then from there, my aspiration was to play pro, and that was, I shouldn't say was, but I'm going to. I was very emotionally immature.
Okay.
At that time. And so I was selecting my school choice just for soccer, just for what I thought could get me to the pro level. So I was looking at IU, looking at Notre Dame. Had an injury my senior year where I was told, you're not playing anymore. And the only school that kept calling was DePaul. And my coach, Paige Cotton, said, even if you can't play, this is a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot.
Yeah.
And so I came here, was fortunate that had a pretty good career here, and then was able to go on and play professionally for 10 years after that and start my coaching career on the side with that.
As you were playing?
Yeah, I hated it at the time, but I love it now. Yeah. It was 10 one-year contracts. I could see every time it got pushed across the table that the general manager, the team owner was saying, We can't find anybody better this year. You'll do, but it's only going to be for this year, just so you know. And I hated it because there was no security in it.
Is that what they were actually saying? Or
No,
that's
no.
how your brain took it?
That's how my
though?
brain took it.
Yeah.
And I recognize it too, coming out of Division III and going against international players and Division I guys. Every day I had to prove myself. And so I think that sharpened me in my conditioning, my work, because I recognized I wasn't as talented, but I could outwork.
You were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I also realized that it's going to end, whether it's at the end of this season or at the end of next season. So started coaching with high schools and colleges in the area as an assistant. I enjoyed it and then still had a passion to be involved in the game. And so a couple opportunities opened up and jumped into college coaching full time.
So how old were you when you started college coaching full time?
30.
Okay.
Just 30. And while I was an assistant at these different colleges as I was playing.
You were still playing, yeah.
I wasn't full time, so it'd be like I can only be there 3 days a week because we're playing. I wished I would have gone through that step of being somebody's full-time assistant.
Got it.
And learned instead of those first few years, you think you know. It's like, probably shouldn't have done that. That was not the right drill, not the right preparation for this.
It.
You learn.
But that's also how you learn it. Yeah, it's just another way of learning it.
Agree.
And an amazing opportunity that you had to be able to be competing professionally, but also, in a sense, building your resume in another way for the after.
I thought, great for me because I needed the money. At that time, the money in soccer was not great. And so needed camps and assistant coaching to kind of help salary-wise. But one of the things that I recognized too on the other side, and I saw this when I was a coach, is that for the head coach to have a professional player on staff helps in recruiting. So then as I got into this role as a head coach, I'm looking for guys who have, I'm not looking for a guy who is clearly below me so players will respect me versus them. I need the highest level that I can have here so we can recruit. They can help me grow, I can help them grow, and we can all be better in the end.
That's fantastic. So, high school Hauter.
That guy.
Did you?
Mullet.
No.
High school.
Oh, I'm going to need pictures. I'm going to need pictures.
Gosh, I think even part of college, Hauter had a
mullet still. I love that for you. Did you play any other sports, or was it all soccer, only soccer by that point?
Yeah, so I played soccer in the fall, hockey in the winter, and then baseball in the spring. And when I came to DePaul, I played soccer here. We had a hockey club. We practiced at 2 a.m. down in Bloomington. 1 or 2 days a week.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. That was the only ice time that was available.
Oh my God.
So did that for a year or two. I think the club disbanded after that, and then started playing baseball here in the spring. When you come in the fall, your first contact, your first group of friends are your soccer teammates.
Totally.
And so when we get into the spring season and they're starting their spring season and I'm playing baseball, I just felt like that's my tribe over there.
Got it.
And I'm here. So I left baseball so that I could participate in the spring soccer and then just committed to soccer.
Okay. What was the time like for young Hauter who's planning to go D1? Mm-hmm. All the goals are set on that. Mm-hmm. Playing professionally is priority one. Gets injured. How is he doing?
That was a struggle. I'm an optimist.
Got it.
So you tell me that you're done, you can't play anymore, it's a pretty serious injury. I'm not going to hear that.
You're like, great.
And you're young. You remember,
Wonderful
young athlete,
challenge.
You're bulletproof.
Absolutely.
And you just think you're going to bounce back. So I remember I actually got out of the hospital the first day of two-a-days here at DePaul. So I checked in and my doctor said, look, if you're going to do this, it's got to be gradual. You can't participate 100% from the beginning. And this is an 18-year-old freshman.
Yeah.
I see it now through the coach's eyes.
Right.
But I come up to Paige Cotton, my soccer coach, on the first day after check-in. We get our equipment. I turn to him and I say, hey, just so you know, I got out of hospital this morning. I'm probably going to be, having to take some time off. And he did what a good coach does. He says, I completely understand. You kind of gradually get involved. And I'm like, that went a whole lot better than I thought. And I turned back and he turned to his assistant coach and rolled his eyes. And at that moment, it's like, he has put me in that box, which rightfully so, because I've done it as a coach as well. Your first day, you come in with a reason why you can't practice. I said, forget it. I'm going 100% from this point on. I don't care. Let's put the chips on the table and see where it lands.
Okay. So you show up, you're playing D3, which was not the original plan. Did that take time to adjust? Or by time you were coming here to DePaul, you were all on board? You were like, this is going to be great. I love this.
Yeah, I think had I gone through a natural entry in, I might have had some of that. But the fact that I was told for months ahead of time, you're never playing again, I'm just excited to play.
Love that.
I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And it could have been going back into high school.
Yeah.
It was further than I'd ever been, and I'm playing.
It was the next step.
Right.
It was here I have people telling me my athletic career, more or less, is done forever. And then you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah. And when I got here, too, players were good. I mean, it was not like I came in and it's like, I'm better than everybody else. I wasn't even close. I've seen that a lot as a college coach when I'm going out and recruiting, is that people don't understand this level.
No,
you don't see it on television. And when you do, it's two evenly matched teams because it's in the finals.
Exactly.
So the speed is the same. And when you look at it, you think, yeah, I can keep up. Everybody seems to be keeping up in there. But then when you actually get on the field with a Division III high-level athlete, it's like, whoa.
Absolutely. Coach, every year when we would get to campus and everyone, you got the first year classes, with everyone for the first time. And coach always starts the season and she's like, okay, raise your hand if you were a starter on your team. And the entire room raises their hand. And she's like, okay, just letting you all know, like, you're all here for a reason. You're all starters, but you're exactly right. The speed of the game. You can have the top high school athlete coming in your sport, even on a D1 level. And like that speed, you just can't replicate it unless you're in it.
It's that physical speed, but then it's also the mental speed because now your decisions have to be made an elevated pace that you haven't done before. So there's always going to be, even if you're a great high school player,
absolutely,
there's going to be an adjustment
period.
There
has to be a transition. So you're playing your collegiate career. And coming up on the end of your collegiate career, did you know you were going to be playing professionally? Or was it kind of I'm coming up to the end of my career, but I still want to give this a chance. I'm still in it.
It was the only goal that I had as a kid. I was here during my senior year. We were 17-1.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And we didn't get invited to the national tournament. So the season ended with a phone call instead of being knocked out of a game. So we all anticipated going on, and then the rug gets pulled out from under you. I had thought I'm going to have a few more games, and then we can look at the pro thing going on, but then you just get floored by this. Was fortunate in that moment. Wasn't mentally prepared, wasn't physically prepared, wasn't psychologically prepared for pro soccer, and came back to be an assistant coach with Paige for a year as I kind of could stay around the game, train, had an opportunity when I came back as a coach that the football team needed a punter.
Stop.
And so Nick Morosis comes down and talks to Paige and says, that guy could punt pretty good as a goalkeeper. So they taught me how to punt. Crazy. And I'm humbled by this and embarrassed to even say it, but I led the nation, Division I, II, and III, in average punting. I had letters from the Redskins and the Packers.
Oh my God.
Here is the emotional immaturity I was alluding to. When I was leading the nation, the Redskins sent a letter, and there was no email, no social media at this time. So they sent a letter, and it was like, we've heard some great things. You're punting at this ridiculous average. Is this really what you're capable of? Something along those lines. And I took the letter, and 60-year-old Brad looks back and thinks, why did you do this? And I wrote, yup, on the letter and mailed it back. Didn't keep the address, didn't keep the person, just mailed it back. And then I'm sitting there, and of course there's no reply.
Yup.
Yeah. And 21-year-old Brad's thinking, they're going to think this is awesome. They're probably going to call me up today. Never hear from the Redskins again. Was fortunate that I had a tryout with the Packers.
No shit.
And so at that time, I'm here. I'm training for a couple of pro tryouts. I got something in Dallas. I got something in Milwaukee. Training for the Packers. So I'm trying to figure out all this stuff. Put the Packers stuff on hold. I went to Milwaukee, and I was doing pretty good in Milwaukee. And Dallas called. At this time, there were 2 indoor leagues.
Okay.
Milwaukee was in the lower one. I was doing well there.
Okay.
Opportunity comes up in Dallas.
Okay.
So I fly down to Dallas, do pretty well, but not well enough.
Okay.
And so Dallas says, no, thank you. So again, I think the thread is the emotional immaturity. I'm gone for like 5 days. I go back into Milwaukee, and the coach says, where you been? I said, I went down to Dallas for a tryout down there. And he's like, good, see ya. So my Trip to Dallas ended my opportunity in Milwaukee because I never talked to anybody. I didn't say, hey, I'm going to go down there. I wasn't under contract. It's not like I needed permission to do it.
Right. But then that also meant
Protocol.
you didn't have a contract with them, so
Right.
they could just be like later.
Right. So
Wow.
at that point, then it was like, okay, what's the next? That top league folded too.
Okay.
Then, and then all of those better players came down into this
down.
other league. And so now there were only 7 teams. Actually, there were 6 teams. So then I'm in Chicago, and they announced in the news that they're putting a franchise into that team. And it's all the old players from the Chicago top one that folded. So I went to the tryout. I did well. I got signed. And
And then that's when the 10 years
that's when it started.
of
That was when the clock started.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a minor recap, you came to college to play college soccer.
Correct.
Also played hockey on the club team. Also at some point played on the football team. Also at some point played on the baseball team. Do you like sports?
And you know, one of the things that really interested me about what you're doing with this podcast is I defined who I was by being an athlete. And so when that was gone, whether it was an end of a season or something, I'm lost. And so that was where I think, you know, we didn't have growing up soccer 12 months a year.
Yeah.
So after soccer, you have to find another sport. As an athlete, you got to play because you just want to be involved. I mean, I remember for baseball, if we had a game that day and I'm in school and it was raining and I knew that game was going to be canceled, I'm devastated.
Demoralized.
Absolutely beside myself. What am I going to do now? Homework? Come on.
What am I just supposed to exist?
Exactly.
What?
Exactly. I look at it now and I think, oh my goodness.
I'm sure it gave you incredible drive. I'm sure it made you an impeccable player. You know, you were in it. It was priority. It's what you cared about. So you were going to put your effort into it.
The thing I look at now, we did all of that without the advantages they have now as far as nutrition. I had no idea what sleep does as far as recharging. You know, ice baths, never heard of those kinds of things. You know, you look at training programs that you can get on YouTube. I don't need a coach. I can do all this stuff on my own. And athletes from back in that day, is you got to be self-motivated.
Totally. And you have to search out things yourself. And there's not really stuff to search out. Yeah.
I think I'm lifting correctly, but I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just going to move this weight around. Hopefully it makes me better on the field.
Yeah.
And here he is. All right, Mr. Athlete Identity.
Funny journey.
How you doing? How you doing now?
Good.
Mr. I don't identify as an athlete anymore.
I consider myself one of the fortunate ones in this.
Yeah.
In that I think one of the greatest struggles you could have as an athlete is to have the game taken from you before you're ready for it to go. The struggles emotionally, psychologically, especially if you've everything you are, your entire identity is wrapped up in being an athlete, and now that's gone. And I could never understand it. When I would see a soccer player at 35, 36 years old that was fine coaching and never wanted to go play a pickup game, I couldn't understand. Why do you not want to play anymore? Physical injuries, having kids and different motivations, you know, life just presented some different paths and some different tangents that I got excited about. And so I was comfortable leaving the game as a player at the end. I wasn't comfortable at the end of any season because I felt like this is it. And it's going to be taken from me.
And you're not going to be able to choose
Right.
that you want it. Like it always felt like it's going to be ripped away from me.
Right. And I remember at the end of my first pro season, this sinking depression, like, because I thought I'm on borrowed time. Like there was a certain time on the calendar that you would get to that they couldn't release you. And so all of us rookies are just like keeping your head down and
you're just like
trying
waiting
to get
for
to
that date.
Trying to get to that date. I got to that date. I'm like, okay, I get one season. I get one season to chase my dream. And then at the end, I have no guarantees. And so there was this sinking feeling like, I can't believe it's over. And then was able to get back into the mix and get back on that treadmill and figure out a way to keep it going.
Did you feel that every year of the 10 years?
I did, and I think that goes to the fact, and you know, I think it is very similar to the military in that you have a specific mission. When you played, it was a national championship.
Absolutely.
That's the end goal. You have a mission, and you have steps along the way. You got to win your first game. You got to win conference. You got to make. There's all these different things that are
Yeah.
already established. Same thing in the military. You have, and that's why I think when people leave the military, they struggle also because life outside of that is not clearly defined. The goals are a little bit tougher. And a thing that I think is one of the most crushing pieces is there's not a team. You know, I'm not fighting for you and you're fighting for me and I got your back, you got my back, and we're training and we're going to stay after practice and put up another 100 shots and make sure that we're better for this game. You get out into the business world and there's a lot of, I'm gonna grab mine and I'm gonna go home right when it's time and I'm not gonna do any more than I need to. And it's very individualistic. And that's where I think you come out of these high performing, high drive, goal, mission,
High pressure,
team.
emotionally charged. Yeah.
And then boom, it's over.
Yep.
You don't need to be self-serving. We're all in that together. And it's not like that in other aspects.
100%. When you got to the end of professional career, did that end up being your decision? Or did you literally play and play and play until they were like, this is the year we're not giving you a contract?
I was right kind of on the end. I wasn't thinking about not playing anymore.
Okay.
Life started changing a little bit. My wife and I found out we were having twins.
Okay.
The league that I had been in has no health insurance, so we've been skating by on luck and no retirement. I mean, there's a union now, so now it's all organized. And us guys from way back then were the ones that laid the groundwork for it. But there was none of that. So, at some point, I think I was like 33, 34 years old. It's like, I now need to start thinking like a dad.
Now it's
husband,
logical.
Yeah, and start being responsible. And so I would have struggled a lot more if it wasn't for the Mow Across America. This is a lawnmower trip across the country.
This is right.
I was fortunate to be asked to be the spokesperson for. And so my job was to drive the lawnmower. And so when you're in the world of professional sports, people are wanting your autograph, you get recognized in certain places, and there's a big ego element of it. And that's part of it too. It's not just the team part. You walk into the grocery store and people don't ask for your autograph. Then it's like, wait a second. And
External validation.
It is. And it's all these little fake dopamine hits that drive you to chase things that don't have actual value.
Absolutely.
So on the Mow Across America, driving a lawnmower across the country for raising money for Keep America Beautiful, something I was very passionate about, but we averaged 15 to 20 interviews a day, from everything from The Tonight Show to Good Morning America to your local newspaper as we're passing through these cities. Fake dopamine hit, fake dopamine hit, fake dopamine hit. So I go from the professional athlete world.
So when you started the Lawnmower Across America, you were officially not playing anymore,
no,
or you were still
right
a
at the
player?
end. It was right
you were
at
still
the
playing.
end.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was playing, mostly during the indoor season, which was in the winter, and this took place in the spring.
Okay. So it was still all a part of identity-wise, I'm a professional athlete.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And now this, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is great. I'm like Neil Armstrong walking on the moon.
Me.
Yeah, and I remember the Late Late Show was my last in-person media spot on that. So I'm there. Craig Kilborn's the host. He was great. It was a huge rush.
Yeah.
And limo takes you back to your hotel. Then you've got a flight back. It ended in L.A. Flight back to Chicago. I land in Chicago, and it's a broken down station wagon with somebody with my name on it that's picking me up to take me home. I'm like, boy, did that end quickly. And then you go from the phone ringing and 15 to 20 different newspapers or shows wanting to talk to you every day to the phone not ringing. Here I am back with my kids, back with my wife, back in my life. And I'm sad because nobody wants to talk to me because I'm not in a lawnmower. That is such an ego, but it was those fake dopamine hits.
Absolutely.
And it took a while to get back connected to the real connectivity of family and being a dad and being a part of that group.
When you say it took a while, how long?
I think it took, God, I think, so I'm angry, angry because you get caught up in it. And it was like at the end of the season too, you had the dopamine hits of being an athlete, and then all of a sudden it ends. There's no screaming fans, there's no stadiums, you're back to coaching soccer camps and stuff, and all of a sudden life changes. And there's a little bit of anger in it because that fake dopamine is addicting.
It is so addictive.
Oh, crazy.
And you're describing it perfectly right now. At the time that it's happening, at least for me, it's not like, oh God, this dopamine feels so good. It's like, oh, great. I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to lean into this. This feels good. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm just going to keep this rolling. And then it's that reflection on it like, wow, I was being driven by maybe not the healthy,
Ego.
not that it's unhealthy, but it's also just, yeah, my ego's feeling great.
If you can't digest it and understand what it is, there's nothing wrong with fake dopamine hits.
Totally.
But if you can't process it and you start getting an over elevated view of yourself. So here's a great example. So one, it happened at the end of soccer seasons, and I told myself, I understand you from the time you grew up and you were a kid, you put your identity into being an athlete. You cannot have it so that when the season is over, you go into this crash.
So you started thinking about that proactively.
I started, first of all, wondering why all of a sudden am I just angry and frustrated. And then I started putting the pieces together after a couple of years because it always happened at the same moment. I get back from the Mow Across America and the phone stops ringing and I go right into that same thing. And I'm like, you know what it is? It's ego.
Yep.
It's this. And I said, no matter what I do from this point on, I cannot let my ego dictate, get out ahead of myself or start thinking I'm more important than I was.
Your emotion,
So I know this going in. We do the Mow Across America again 4 years later.
Okay.
They asked, and we go from San Francisco to LA to New York and finish in New York.
Oh my gosh.
And I get a call from Lauren Michaels' production company. They want to do a TV show around this lawnmower guy. So now all of a sudden I've gone through another 15 to 20 interviews a day for 80 days.
That's wild.
Went into this knowing don't lose yourself. At the end of it, my family flew out to New York. We are at Toys R Us in Times Square.
I don't know where this is going, but I'm so excited.
Let me set the table again. I have told myself, don't go down this road. Don't go down this road. Don't be.
You know it's coming. You
stay
know it's
grounded.
coming. Don't do it.
So we're in Toys R Us. They got a big Ferris wheel inside the store. I'm there with my family. There's a couple of kids in front of us, and I see through the corner of my eye a bunch of kids coming with paper and pen. And I'm thinking, of course they're coming to talk to the lawnmower guy. And I'm so embarrassed by this.
I love that you're sharing
big timed my family. I turned to my wife. I said, I'm sorry that you have to witness this. This is just part of the job. And she said something along the lines of, the kids that starred in the movie Spy Kids are standing in front of us. It's not you, big time. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And that was such a screeching, like, okay.
Hey.
And
that's why your wife's always there, just to keep it real for you.
She's awesome. I can't even believe it. I'm so embarrassed by it right now.
I'm obsessed.
Like, my first thought was, it wasn't an ego thing. It just felt,
you were just like,
sorry, you guys have to witness this. This is what we lawnmower drivers get.
You know, us lawnmower guys, they just are really flocking. That's amazing.
Yeah. And
so
still.
What came from that? Was that kind of the moment that you were like,
that was a jarring moment that said,
cow.
you freaking let it happen again. How is that possible? I believe there are still fake dopamine hits. I can't lie. When you guys asked to be on this, there's a dopamine hit.
Absolutely.
Not fake, because this is a real topic.
This is a very real one.
So there's still those quick dopamine hits that say this is a fun thing.
And part of that's human. Part of that is absolutely human. And our drive, our pull towards that external validation, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We all like to get feedback. We like to get positive feedback. I do think that's exacerbated by being an athlete.
Athlete, musician.
Totally.
Anything in that we have changed a value on that, hey, it's different than a janitor.
Yep.
Speaking of which, the janitor on, what is it, America's Got Talent from Terre Haute.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Great moment.
Amazing.
Hope he doesn't get caught up in dopamine.
Hope that dopamine doesn't hit too hard.
Yeah, but we've elevated certain professions and certain jobs, and sometimes rightfully so, because they're just, people want to listen to Taylor Swift.
Spectacular. Yeah.
And so, of course, there's going to be more attention that's there. But how do you stay grounded during that? That's That's a challenge. I think so much of it is, I call it relevance. I'm on this big relevance kick.
Okay, I like this.
But
Tell me more.
you can call it purpose, you can call it meaning, you can call it value. We each need to feel relevant. I don't want to get too philosophical, too deep, but
I like
back in
this.
it,
No, please.
like that, we're
Yeah.
all parts of tribes and we need to be around each other. We need to be part of a tribe. Same thing as the team.
Absolutely.
Is I have value, even if I have no skills. I'm not fast enough or strong enough to be the hunter. I don't have enough skills to do anything around where our tribe lives. I can't make clothes or make shelter, but I can pick up sticks.
Yeah.
And sticks are needed to keep the fire going. So I am part of, I have value. And I know if I don't get sticks, the fire is going to go out. So there is this organic relevance to my day. Right now, I think we don't have that as a culture. We've misplaced relevance as these dopamine hits, as how many likes do I get on social media? Am I starting? Am I the all-star?
Yeah.
You know, all of these different things that are important and have some value, but they can't replace meaningful part of whatever community you're a part of. When I start looking at athletes at the end, it's very often, I was part of this tribe, I was part of this community. Even if I was a backup, I knew my job was to push that starter.
Even if it wasn't the exact role that you wanted, you still had one. And you knew where generally you fit within that.
And we were all part of a bigger thing. And now you take a look, and I think like with NIL and social media, now it's more about me than about us and we. And so I think some of the struggles that athletes have in integrating to life outside of athletics is actually going to start happening earlier and earlier because we lose that sense of, hey, we're family, we're team.
Yeah.
If we didn't be a part of this team together, we may never know each other, may never like each other, but something's brought us together. And we fit.
We may not have been friends, but now we're intertwined in our goals and all of that. Right. Maybe we're not best friends, but while we're on the field together, while we're on the court together, we're going to make it work and we're going to find a way to be in this thing together.
And not just that, I'm also watching your back on campus.
Yes.
Because I need you. Tomorrow. If I go out and have a couple drinks on a Friday night, there's nobody tapping me on my shoulder saying, we got a game tomorrow.
Let's go.
It's like, hey, showing up for work, right? Yep. Okay.
That accountability that is accountability to yourself, but for your team and for this bigger thing.
I've got some friends who are musicians and writers and painters, and you think, okay, you can do that forever. And the athletic gifts that some people get, they have an expiration date on them. And so you really die two deaths. You die that death as an athlete where you now have to redefine sometimes. Not everybody goes as deep as just completely identifying.
Not all the time, but I think it happens a heck of a lot more than we think it do because we don't talk about it.
That could be.
We don't talk about it. That could be. And or people don't realize that that's why they feel that certain way. Like you had those moments where it's like, why am I getting angry? Like, why am I having these emotions? Why is my reaction to this internally, maybe externally, not equating? But then you were able to kind of peel that back. And some people I don't know ever get that peel back moment.
Yeah, it's tough because you're asking for somebody to have that peel back, understanding, real, clear, lucid moment in their 20s where you're still trying to figure out.
You're trying to figure out everything. You're trying to figure out everything.
Now all of a sudden I'm going to figure out the psychology of how I've defined myself for 25 years. And
that's where part of it's interesting as I've been having these conversations and we've been, even just talking to some friends, about it. If I had this information, if I had the thoughts, if I was hearing this messaging that my brain is coming up with now, would I have been able or ready to sift through that when I was, 21, 22 years old and knew I wasn't going to be going on to play professionally, knew that, the end of sport career was coming at graduation? Had I heard other people talking about it, would it have helped then?
Yeah.
I hope.
That's a great question.
I hope. I think it would help to know that that's something that people
might not
go
be able
through.
to flip the switch.
I still don't think that it takes away the need for the grief and the sadness, but I think also naming it that and allowing yourself to be sad.
Yeah. That's where I think this is going to have some great value, is because it's going to put on the table for athletes that are at the end of the career, you're not alone in that struggle. Is that everybody, whether it's an injury that ends it, whether it's a coach's decision, whatever the reason, maybe just run out of opportunities. It ends.
Yeah.
And that, again, I feel unbelievably blessed that the game didn't have the same value and meaning for me in my early to mid 30s when I stepped away. I cannot imagine if at 25 or 22, it was over. I cannot imagine.
18.
Or 18, yeah. Or, a 15, 16-year-old going in.
Absolutely.
And I can't imagine as an 18-year-old. Yeah, 18, that's an interesting one because if I'm
You
14.
almost had that.
Yeah.
You literally almost had that.
Like if you're 14, 15, you still have your social circles. At 18, you're actually moving into a completely new environment. You lose this thing that has brought you confidence. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine that.
One of the things I'm excited about too is having a whole range of athletes and people that I'm talking to, because even talking to some people that don't play beyond high school. Because again, whether it was an injury that didn't allow them to sign at some type of school that they wanted, and they're like, maybe this is a sign, like maybe I just, shouldn't try to compete at a, different level or different school. Like that also is a big change. And then you're stepping into college. Even the people who just know that they're not going to play in college, because that's really a small percentage. It is a small percentage of number of high school athletes that actually play collegiately, but you know that at the end of high school, and then you step into your college years. Fortunately, I hope for them, I didn't have that experience, but I hope that you're at least kind of redefining everything about you. So maybe that's just kind of part of the mix versus like once you go through college, it's like, yeah, you've been redefining all these things, but athlete has still been there. Athlete is still, what you're seen for in a lot of ways and known for.
That goes back a little bit to what you were talking about when you guys would come in as a basketball team and who was a starter, everybody raises their hands. You now have to redefine things because you may have been a 4-year starter in high school, but now all of a sudden you look around the room and it's like, all right, I'm going to be fighting for minutes here. I got to redefine who I am at this point and be okay with it.
Totally. What age do you feel like you kind of reflected on, or you got to that point where you were like, oh yeah, my entire identity was athlete? And did you kind of acknowledge that, oh, okay, maybe I can't use that in the same way, or wow, my entire identity was athlete?
I would not change any of my missteps because I think they were valuable. And even though, I'm incredibly embarrassed about how I let my ego take me down these roads where I started thinking I'm more important than I was because I was sitting on a lawnmower or playing soccer.
Hey,
I wouldn't trade any of those missteps. I think that where it kind of crystallized in my head, 33 is the age that kind of sticks out. That was the start of the second Mow Across America where I was coming to the end of my playing career. I knew my days were numbered there. Going on another ego boost because I knew what the first one was and went in there telling myself
you were ready to not make the mistake again.
Exactly. And so because I understood it. I understood the power of that drug and that dope. I just knew promised myself not to go down that path, and then I still couldn't prevent it. And so when I look at those depressing moments at the end of soccer seasons, and I look at the moments where I wasn't the dad or the husband or the person or the coach that I wanted to be, a lot of it was because I started getting caught up in some things that just didn't need to waste my time with.
Yeah. And you have found other ways to flex those muscles, exercise those pieces, even in having your own, show that you now have 10 seasons of, but it's in something that you're passionate about and it's in your, wheelhouse and it's a way that, okay, you found that you liked to be interviewed. You liked to be on, the TV moments and all of that, which is also fine. But you can kind of use that energy to create these other passions and find your skill set.
Yeah, I still get uncomfortable with it. I'm very uncomfortable with the spotlight. I am an introvert. I've had to force myself out of it because of the different careers and opportunities I've selected. I like being a part of that creative side of things.
I love that, yeah.
And I think it's because I've gone through those other things. When I go places I don't want to be, and this sounds narcissistic.
No.
I just want to be. I just want to be. I want to be a good dad to my kids and a good husband to my wife and a good member of my community. And that's more important to me than
people knowing your name.
Yeah. But even discussing it right now is so distasteful to me because I'm such an anti-narcissist. But here I am talking about myself, which is narcissistic.
It's not, because number one, I asked you the questions and we're talking about you. Your pull towards anti-narcissism.
Anti-narcissism.
Not something that you necessarily had to learn, but it's also a part of okay, this is how I keep myself in check to make sure I don't get drawn towards the dopamine hits, towards those different things, and that you can stay more truly who you are. Stay in that space of who your identity is now and how you kind of feel now.
Kind of the turning point on that was like, when we'd go places, people would want to hear lawnmower stories or soccer stories.
Yeah.
It was a rush. Just similar to what you were talking about. You
What
want
was
to
the
learn
score?
about,
How was the last
you
game?
want to talk about the things I've done. That makes me feel good. All of these missteps on ego and everything, I think have given me a really good perspective. When I was in coaching, I think that allowed me to help players who are starting to get a lot of accolades. Hey, stay grounded.
Absolutely.
Even though I told myself that, you're still going to go crazy.
We're all a work in progress, even when we're helping other people through some of those same things.
It helps me with my kids too. When they have big moments, I don't want to be the guy that comes in and stomps on all the balloons and everything and says, hey, stay grounded.
Yeah.
But I can start to recognize some of those signs of like, hey, maybe we need to pull that back just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I will say, most of these story moments all happened pre us meeting you, from the 2010 to 2014 era. And I will say, even by that point, your presence has always been very grounded, very a part of the team. You have been so great in our lives and one of our biggest supporters, which has been amazing.
So we talk a lot about fake dopamine. That's real dopamine.
That's real.
Right there.
That is legit real.
When you are impacting others' lives, whether, just by being a cheerleader for you guys or setting granola bars out in the hotel for you. When
you crushed that granola bar setup, though. It was so good.
Legendary. But those are the things, when you get a compliment like that, I would so much rather hear that. I mean, that really does fill me with joy and happiness as opposed to, hey, tell us about the lawnmower.
And here we are.
Decade later.
But thank you.
You're welcome. Very much appreciate this. This was cool. I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank you. Any final thoughts?
Your questions brought out a lot of the loose ends on something like this. This would be great for any athlete, former athlete to do, but then to be able to listen to it, watch it, and recognize that everybody's got an end to that journey.
Absolutely. It is so different between all of us, yet so similar.
Exactly.
Yet so freaking similar.
Exactly.
Thank you.
This was awesome.